Hey, hello, hi, how are you? Good to see you. I hope you are having an absolutely wonderful evening. And if you're like me, you're 6 feet tall and named Bill. But if you're not, you might just be someone who is out there wanting to enjoy our show. And I, of course, am Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, coming to you loud and clear and live on a Thursday evening. It is Friday Eve. Welcome, one and all. I hope you're having an absolutely stellar one, because I certainly am. Because Thursday is the night when I usually like to bring on a wonderful guest. And have we got a wonderful guest for you tonight? I'm asking, have we got a wonderful guest for you tonight? Does anyone know? Of course, we have a wonderful guest for you tonight. I'm sure you all read the title cards, and we have got an absolutely delightful one today. Now, yesterday, of course, if you're new to the show, let's pump the brakes. All right, I'm coming in all a jangle. If you're new to the show, if you're sitting out there and you're watching us over here on YouTube, over there on Twitter, and you don't know exactly what it is we do, well, click the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. First of all, I would greatly appreciate that. But second of all, welcome to the Delver's Dungeon. 5 nights a week of live scream. Maybe I should just do an episode, a show where I just scream at the top of my lungs. Live streamed tabletop RPG discussion. Last night, we had my co-host Kyle. He is down in the Antipodean reaches of Australia. He was on, and we talked about a great many things. The night before that, we played some first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and it didn't suck. I absolutely loved that. And Monday night, we talked about stamps. Because what's nerdier than role-playing games? Stamps. And these were role-playing game stamps, so, it was super duper nerdy. But tonight, we have a guest. Tomorrow night, we will be playing... we'll be doing a live Let's Play of first edition. I almost said first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. First edition Gamma World. We have got a stable of players. Are they stable? I don't know. I've never been able to determine that. They will be here. We will be playing Gamma World on our live play. And then on Saturday, I'm not doing a thing. I won't be here. If you click on my channel, you'll just be staring at darkness. And then we start the whole thing over on Monday again. And I may have a guest for you next week, too. We'll have to see. But I may have a guest for you next week as well. But we'll get there when we get there. Hello, Imperial Ramblings, Nordic Maelstrom, Wave of Mutilation, Jimmy Invictus, Rabbit Wrangler, you're only 5'10", well, and your name's not Bill. King Noose, it's your friend, don't spoil it, Damien247, Daniel Rowan. Yeah, I'm hyped for this. I'm excited about this. There's 19 of you guys watching over on Twitter Space. There's 31 of you in total, and I am pretty darn excited about that. And so let me clue you guys in on a little bit of the exciting gaming stuff that I got up to today. Nothing. It was, I did laundry today. Sorry. But all kidding aside, we will be bringing our guest in here in just a second. Campaigns and Conquest brings up Arnicon, is coming up. That's Dave Arneson centric convention, but there's lots of people going to be there. I think Paul Stormberg is heading up there. Paul's an absolutely cromulent fellow. We love us some Paul Stormberg around here. Yeah, check out Arnicon. Maybe that's your bag, baby. you guys know me. I'm effectively landlocked. That is, I am locked to this specific piece of land that I am sitting on. Rob Kuntz, Mike Carr, excellent. Graph Paper Architect is out there. Graph Paper, by the way, those of you who are curious, Graph Paper will be joining our little coterie of Tuesday night AD&D live play, and I'm pretty excited about that. If you guys liked seeing him on the screen on Tuesday, then you're going to see more of him. If you hated seeing him on the screen on Tuesday, I don't care. Because he'll be here. So I'm hyped for that. That is going on. I actually have for the YouTube algorithm, because YouTube does a pretty darn good job of completely suppressing my channel. So if you're watching this in the aftermath of this show, in the smoking ruins, afterwards, if you could please, if you like this show, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below and tell me what you liked about it, and I'll do more of that thing. If you didn't like this show at all, give it a thumbs down and leave a comment down below. And if I can help it, I will do less of that thing. The caveat is if I can help it. If you disliked it because you don't like me live streaming at all, I'm not going to change that. But I actually have a video coming out tomorrow to tweak the algorithm in my favor a little bit. I know I haven't done a lot of those, so look for that tomorrow. It is D&D, and it is old school D&D news related, so I'm pretty excited about that. So please check that video out. 1E D&D is what the real gamers play. That's absolutely correct, Nordic Maelstrom. Wherever you're from, by the way, I should point that out. I think I mentioned this to you guys before. I have fun on TTRPG Twitter. I do. It's silly fun, and I've met a lot of people. They don't necessarily game, but they're fine folks just the same. I've met a lot of people who are new to gaming. I've met a lot of people who are coming back to gaming. TTRPG Twitter is a sagacious blast, man. And wouldn't you know it, just the other day, and I've talked about this, I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on this. A cat from Japan, to quote David Bowie, was talking about Dragonlance. And he showed the covers for the Dragonlance books, but in Japan. They were gorgeous. If manga's your thing, they were gorgeous. I get it. A lot of people are like, it all looks the same. You know, I'm sure they look at American comics and feel the same way. So, whatever. So that was a lot of fun. So old school D&D is popular with a subset of Japanese Gen Xers. And how cool is that? We love hearing that. And speaking of things that we love to hear, let me tell you a little bit about my guest tonight. She is a super fan of the show. She has sat out there amongst you plebs for quite some time now. Always had something positive to say. She is a creator of dice. We're going to let her talk about that. We're going to talk to her about her unique perspective as a member of the distaff side, entering tabletop wargaming. We're going to talk to her about all sorts of things. You never know. Well, I know, but, you know, that's because I'm the show host. You don't. Anyway, so I'm going to put my magical headphones on. My lovely chocolatey warm AKG headphone. Wait, no, there's chocolate in there. Ugh. AKG headphones. And everybody, please welcome my guest tonight. You know her as the Wheeling Dragon. Some of you know her as a Labyrinth Lady, and yet others still know her by the nom de guerre, Susie Warren, everybody. Susie Warren. Good evening to you, ma'am. Hey, how are you? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. My audio okay for everybody?
You're fine over here. If anyone out in the audience has an issue with it, turn on subtitles and crank up your volume. But anyway, thank you for coming on to the show. I really appreciate you stepping up, since, I bullied you into it and didn't give you much of a choice. But anyway, it's wonderful to have you on the show. So tell us, for those out there in audience land, we have 57 folks watching now, 36 over on Twitter right now. Thank you, Twitter audience. And by the way, if you're over on Twitter and you're live and you're watching or listening, say hi in the chat just so I can see and wave. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, okay. So I've actually started in D&D back in 2004 when my husband and I were dating.
Okay.
And like we were talking, before the show and everything, not only do I have the perspective of being a woman in the predominantly male-centric hobby of tabletop gaming, I'm also disabled. So I've got that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And hello, everybody. Special shout out to King Noaz. I will have to watch what I say if I talk about my campaign, because he's actually one of my players.
Oh yeah. Don't give away any secrets here. Don't let slip anything. So you jumped in back in 2004. Yeah. Your husband kind of introduced you to it. Were you? I mean, D&D. Being on the inside, we nerds tend to think that, well, of course people know what Star Trek is. Of course people know all, they know who Jakar is in Babylon 5. They know what Dungeons and Dragons. Were you, as someone coming into the hobby, were you at least aware of it in an ancillary way, or was it strictly like, oh, you mean that thing with Tom Hanks from the 80s? What was your pre-background? I mean, warming it up. What was your knowledge?
Nothing. I jumped in head first.
All right. So you jumped right in with no knowledge of forethought. And so it's 2004. Now was your husband a grognard, or did you guys play the latest and greatest, which back then would have been 3.5?
That's actually the one I cut my teeth on, so to speak, was 3.5.
Okay.
I do believe he played second edition, but I'm not positive. And as many of you know, the ones who I've told, he passed away in 2022. So I can't ask him.
Right. Well, that was that time period that you're talking about, 2004. I mean, there's such a gulf now between 2000 and now. It's 25 years. But 2004, second edition AD&D had breathed its last, not but 5 years prior. As third edition started rolling out right around the turn of the millennium. So it is absolutely, I would say it's definitely within the realm that he would have started in second edition, or possibly basic, or maybe even first edition. But you jumped in when your dear husband started gaming with you. Was it kind of a, I guess I'll tag along, but no, you said you jumped right in. You dove right into it and pulled it close to your breast. Did you did you have like a fantasy fandom background? Tolkien, McCaffrey, Robert E. Howard, anything like that before you got into D&D?
McCaffrey. Matter of fact, I'm actually staring at my bookcase.
Excellent.
Full of Dragon Riders of Pern.
That's wonderful. That is really wonderful. She was actually I think it was probably right around that time when we moved to this neighborhood. There was a tiny little used bookstore, and of all the places in Orlando, she actually did a book signing at that used bookstore. I thought that was wonderful, just up the street from. But so Dragon Riders of Pern, which spoiler alert, because Susie, and I know, spoiler alert, guys, it's not fantasy. It's not fantasy. Trust me, you're gonna love it. If you're, I don't want to spoil it any further than that. Susie knows. I know you and me, right, Susie? Right? We know. But anyway, so you got them. So sitting down and playing D&D for the first time, that must have been like the ascending moment. Tell us about those early gaming days for you.
Well, I really don't remember too much because I actually had a brain surgery back in 2009. So some of my memory prior to that's a little wonky.
Okay.
But I remember sitting in for the first like half session that he took me to. I'm like, just give me a character sheet. Let's go.
So you were just like, whatever. Come on, dice, clicky math rocks. Let's go.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we played with some friends, and then eventually one of my aunts had started playing with us back in 2006, I want to say. And we were actually in the middle of a campaign when she had passed away in 2008. So gaming, for me, from a grief coping standpoint, has always been there for the last 16 years. Yeah. And what was I going to say?
Well, we were talking about your early sessions of D&D, about just diving in, and so as the years goes on, obviously you're building a sort of you're building that fantasy world up, getting all the experience. Now, did you guys make the switch to 4E, or did you just keep playing with third edition?
We tried 4E.
But
we couldn't get it to flow right for us. Nothing against 4E. It's just, it wasn't for us, basically. And then 5th came out, which, if I remember right, we actually started 5th right about the time we started going to a local game store that was in the area. King, do you remember, what was that, 2017? Because that was around about the time we met, 2017, 2018.
And I will warn you, there is a bit of a lag, so it might be a second before the chat catches up.
You're all right. It's all right.
All right. So
hi, Loki. Speaking of another one of my players,
welcome,
and
Loki,
one of my best friends.
Yes. Jimmy says 4th ed was awful there. I said it. That's fine.
That's fair. That's fair.
And King Knows there says it was 2017 at Wave Fire Games.
Yeah.
So so you guys you stuck with 3rd edition on, and so this is something that now I had asked you for the link, and I'm not sure if you sent it to me over on Twitter. Pardon me, guys. X. Or because I hadn't seen it here, but you're making your hobby work for you, aren't you? You've got a little dice store going on, and I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go to our Discord. I should have had this handy, but of course I don't.
Actually put it in the little private thingy in the waiting room.
Okay. I'm gonna bring this up here and share this with you guys. So Susie is quite the accomplished dice maker, and there is nothing we like much more than a nice set of dice. Am I right, kids? So
hi, Michael Dale.
let me show you guys what she's got going on.
Yeah, as far as the crafting stuff goes, I actually had another friend get me into it.
Mm-hmm.
My latest.
Yes, some nice Hulk green dice. Now these are resin cast. Am I correct? These are not
Yes.
printed; they are cast.
Yes. I don't have a resin printer. Everything I do is cast.
Well, the advice I like to give people, and who knows, someday I may actually get a my 3D printing channel going, but is if you want to resin print, don't. just don't. People are like, oh, I want a resin print. No, you don't. You want cheap dice and cheap minis. You don't want a resin print. Trust me.
Yeah.
It is a nasty, 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 toxic hobby. I have often said, now these are lovely because you have these solid glittery purple ones that are beautiful, and then off to the right there you've got some translucent sort of purple ice ones, and I'm loving these sets. And yes, Michael, I believe. Am I correct? They are cast resin, Susie.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let me see if I can find that link you've sent to me here. I'm sorry. Where did you say you'd sent these? Or where did
the private chat thingy in the waiting area?
All right. Let me just. There we are. Okay. So, folks, if you want some of these dice, I'm gonna put this link up here and leave it up for a bit. There we go. Check out SNS Dice and Knacks, not snacks, knacks. So you'll have to you should definitely go and check that out. So is dice your, no pun intended, end game, or are you looking at going towards other things? Because Nate, find me a D&D player who doesn't like to fiddle with tchotchkes at the table, like a dice tower, miniatures, even. Any thought about that?
We're hoping to eventually. Believe it or not, I actually only started actually casting dice about 6 weeks ago, and I've been doing this for just a little over a year. Yeah.
Really? Well, that is excellent.
Yeah, I actually started with jewelry, and then I went to jars, and then the dice daggers.
Okay.
That I've shown off in the past. Which I need to actually redo the dagger that was meant for that particular set that you just showed, because the D4 won't fit because the mold itself had gotten warped during the curing process. So I have a new mold. I just need to go back and redo it.
Yeah, warping is absolutely. I mean, it happens with 3D printing too. I mean, I put stuff through there and been like, yay, this is going to be awesome. You know, it's a nice tall pillar and it's a banana, you know? Yeah. And when it's a one-off thing, like something I printed, you know, I can throw it in a bowl of almost boiling water. You know, it's like 210 degrees Fahrenheit, and generally re-straighten it. But you don't want to have to do that for this, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But this, these are very cool. And we definitely look forward to whatever it is that you're going to be doing with this in the future. But guys, definitely get out there and pick up a set. Now, have you thought about say, for example, doing them in like a classic color set? You know, like the Holmes, you got the white D20 and the yellow D4 and the green D8, and I think it's an orange D12 and a or is it a blue D12 and an orange D10? I don't know.
If I can get the colorations right, I plan on it. I'm actually playing around.
Excellent.
I don't want to actually start casting until I can get to until I really want to kind of mess with the colors before I turn around and, you know, try to cast those, because I want to pay homage to the original.
Sure. You want to hone your craft.
Yeah. And actually, Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I completely understand that. You want to hone your craft. And please continue though.
Yeah. Actually, Jimmy had asked a couple of questions that I was gonna kind
No,
of.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Jimmy, the answer to the wheel to your question about how I came up with wheeling, it's because I am an ambulatory wheelchair user, and the dragon is homage to I ain't gonna give up worth nothing.
Well,
I was born
that's
fighting.
wonderful.
I'm gonna go out fighting, pretty much. And what was that other question you were asking? Hang on.
He was asking. I don't know how to ask this without sounding like a necromancer. Have you worked with bone as a medium?
I have not. My friend has, like bones that deer bones and stuff that she's found, so to speak.
Found.
Yeah.
Just found. I somewhere around here. I know they're here somewhere. I have a set of micro dice, and these are not going to show up. This is really just to kind of give people a sense of scale on how small I'm talking. I'll send you like a picture of these, Susie.
Yeah.
But these
I
are
actually
like
have a mold for micro dice.
these are well. I mean, so you know that. But I have a set of these that a friend of mine, who sadly he's no longer with us, but. I know he'd get a kick out of me constantly going on about these. They are mammoth bone. They must have cost him a pretty penny, but he sent those to me for Christmas one year, and I absolutely adore having a set of mammoth bone dice. So they can be neat, but I think there's a limit of good taste, folks. Don't go out there to abandoned graveyards. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Have some decorum about yourselves. Right. So you're doing the dice thing. You've got let me just go ahead and stop that. You're entrenched in the gaming world. So let me ask you the difficult question. Now, as much as I love to quote Mike Carr's introduction or forward rather, in the Player's Handbook, where he says that one of the key points of AD&D or Dungeons and Dragons is diversity, and it is. It really is. The notion that somehow D&D is this restricted off limits thing is a fairly new concept, I would think, being pushed by people who have a set agenda, but. With that said, with starting playing all the way back in 2004, did you find as a woman in gaming, did you encounter pushback? Was there anyone that was like, a girl in our D&D game, or what? Just take that ball and run with it. I'm handing off to you in the backfield. You've got a block. Go.
Yeah, actually, not really. I don't even think there was pushback, because when I first started playing, it was with really close friends, and with my aunt and my cousins at the time. So, and when I was playing with my aunt and my cousins, I wasn't the only woman there. There were two of my cousins and my aunt, and so I didn't really have any pushback, from being a woman. I actually really didn't experience pushback until I started doing like the Facebook group stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't necessarily because I was a woman. It was more the disability aspect.
Mm. Okay. So well, I think that dovetails nicely. Obviously, you don't have any stories from the trenches then, as far as, you were sat down at a table and somebody put a sign up that said no girls allowed. But before we kind of get into what you've encountered there, did you and your husband, or since he passed on, have you done the convention scene at all?
We never have. We had always planned on it, but between my health and then his health there at the end, we just never could. Because I've battled health issues all my life.
Of course.
and, you know, being on disability, and even though with him working, I'm on a limited income,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it just never panned out. I mean, I would love to.
Right.
And I'm putting a plug in. Please don't have my hide for this, but I'm really hoping we can get you to that 10,000 mark, because I will try to make it down there.
Well, you know, I would love I would love to see you in person. You know, and I will. Oh wait, where did your? Hang on. Now I have to do the thing again because Jimmy. I put his question up on the screen and I lost this. But where is it? There we go. Yes, I would love to see SNS Dice and Nax at the Guac Volume 1. So, folks, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel and get me up to 10,000, I am contractually obligated to my audience at 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I will roll out an in real life gaming convention. We do an online one, which is where you picked up the moniker Labyrinth Lady, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But yes, we will have an in real life gaming con when I hit 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Speaking of YouTube, that brings us nicely around. You have a YouTube channel that you are so it's something you're gonna start working on, right?
Yeah, I do have some videos up from when I was doing it under my old tag of My Life on Wheels, because at the start of it, I was going to kind of give an insight to what it is to be, you know, disabled in this community, you know, in society.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't finding the flow very great. And then I'd run into some others, you know, other videos, you know, here, there, and whatnot on different media platforms. And I'm like, you know, there's all these videos that are in this type of a setting, but none specifically geared for people with disabilities. And I kind of want to do something like that. And hence the Wheeling Dragon Inn was born. But because I am hopefully soon, some point, scheduled to have a spinal cord surgery, I really would rather wait until after my recovery before I started committing to that.
Sure.
Way, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, I completely understand. It's priorities. Hey, if you'll throw me that link, I will put it up so folks can check out. At the very least, they can be primed and ready for when you make your re-debut. I would be more than happy to share that, because right now when I pull up the Wheeling Dragon Inn on YouTube, it's slot machine hacks. It's dollar slots hacks right now, and that's not what we're.
Give me just 1 second, and I can do that for you.
Sure thing. Robert Phillips says maybe Delver will have his 10K convention in Greyhawk, Florida. I would, but Greyhawk, Florida is really more of like a gated community kind of thing, and I don't think they would appreciate me and a couple hundred sweaty nerds rolling up in their pool house for a full weekend. So I would absolutely love to. But you know, there is a Greyhawk, Texas, that it's an actual town. And so let's see here. Yeah. And by the way, Graph Paper Architect, I think there was a number after it. That's why I couldn't find it.
Sorry. I actually keep forgetting there's a number after it. That's my bad.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
And I also want to shout out to Markle, another one of my good friends.
Excellent. Welcome. I hope all your friends subscribe to the channel tonight. That would be lovely. But anyhow, so let's see. Nordic regularly showers, so he's not. So, well, thank you, Nordic. We appreciate it. Raid that town like Caddy Day at Bushwood. Excellent. I think I got the Caddyshack reference campaigns. And yes, I think GPA speaks for us all here when he says he hopes the surgery is awesome. Good luck. I don't know that the surgery itself will be awesome, but we hope you come out awesome, awesomer on the other side.
If it gets me out of this wheelchair, I'll do anything at this point.
I can believe it. I can believe it. So, That brings up an interesting point. Now, I know you've been a maven about the community for a while now, and I'm sure people enjoy your presence. I do as well. And you know, we have a regular. He plays D&D with us on Tuesday nights. Thane Kyle. He's got a YouTube channel, D and Disability. And I think he talks about a lot of important health issues, which, by the way, guys, if you're out there, D and Disability, it's letter D ampersand disability on YouTube. Subscribe. He talks about a lot about just general TTRPG stuff too, not just that sort of thing. So, but let's talk about your own bad self, Susie. So you mentioned that when you got on Facebook and you started talking in TTRPG groups, that you experienced some pushback from folks about your disability. What exactly went on there? Because I mean, you know, I've been accused of being a gatekeeper, and I do keep a gate. My gate is labeled "Leave everything not D&D related here if you want to play. Otherwise, come on in." Yeah. What was the pushback you experienced from folks?
Well, a lot of it was I was being accused of wanting to add disabilities into the game, and I'm sitting there going, as cool as that would be, that's my escape. Mm-hmm. That's my escape from my chronic pain, my depression. If it makes sense, that's one thing, but I don't necessarily want nor need it in there.
Right. You know,
and then a lot of the whole ableism, well, people with disabilities shouldn't be playing anyway because they won't understand it. That was the biggest one I got.
That is, well, I mean, you know, of course, that's pretty terrible and ridiculous. And, you know, I think...
Exactly. Then, you know, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. I think maybe there's this sense, there's this notion that, you know, if you've got, if you have a disability, whether you call it suffering from, or you contract it, or whatever nomenclature you frame it in, that somehow that just cuts you off, you know, that you're just going to be Rain Man in a corner spinning a plate, you know, that's the totality of what you are. And I don't think that's a fair mindset in the least. You know, for God's sake, if you can roll dice and you can string together abstract thoughts, you can play D&D. The damn wheelchair doesn't matter. Am I right?
Exactly.
I don't want to step on you. I don't want to step on you.
You're not.
But so you've run into this, and I wish I could say I was terribly surprised, but it is Facebook. So
yeah.
So you've gotten a little pushback from that. Now I'm going to ask you a question. This is literally, you can tell when TTRPG Twitter is bored, because I know you're over there too. We bumped into each other over there. You can tell when TTRPG Twitter is bored because somebody will say, you know, absolutely nobody at all will be saying anything, and then just somebody will lean in and say, yes, but what about combat wheelchairs? And the battle lines are drawn. Half the grognards are screeching, don't you dare do that. Everybody else is calling them is and phobes and yada, yada, yada. You are someone who spends a good portion of your day in a wheelchair, not by choice.
Right.
What is your take on the look, whether it's a wheelchair, a peg leg, or anything? And I want to circle around to something, but how I'm gonna put my pin in this is I'm gonna ask you a question, and we'll come back to this. Have you ever played Hero System?
Have not.
Have not. Okay. Keep that in mind, everyone, because we're going to come back to that. So you get into a tabletop setting, and again, you probably have people stepping over you saying, "Oh no, this woman is disabled, and don't you dare be ableist towards her." You go ahead. You know, you have a lot of that. I'm sure. From your perspective, tell us a little bit about the perspective of a disabled person with a voice in fantasy worlds, if you'd please.
Well, the way I see it, if you're going to have a disability in your game, make it make sense. Combat wheelchair, on paper, great concept. In practicality, not so much.
Mm.
Because the people who are advocating for all this, they are either speaking for us, or they're young, or they're so young that they were born after the Americans with Disabilities Act has been, had been passed, and they think they're entitled to it. Now that's going to get me a lot of pushback in my own community, especially from the younger ones. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I was born before the ADA was a thing. I had to learn to figure out how to get around without accommodations, and I still take that route because I like the challenge. You can ask King and Loki for all I care. They know me better than anybody here. And I'm pretty sure they'll both tell you that I don't like taking the easy way out. Do I, guys?
Well, there you go. There you go. I think that's a fine answer. I feel like there's a lot. It starts out well-meaning, I think. And look, I got a little rust between the contacts up here. I could probably lose a halfling or two. But on the whole, I am probably what anyone with a common sense would call an abled person. So I understand this mindset, and I want your thoughts on it, because we've talked to Thane Kyle about this. Hey, my fantasy world, you're disabled. No, you're not. My character can't walk. Well, the village cleric comes over and casts cure disease, and you can walk now, so you don't need your combat wheelchair. What do you say to that? What do you say in response to that? Taking the 10,000-foot view, because obviously anyone can do what they want to at their table.
Yeah.
You're welcome to play whatever, play it however. But what is your thought on that?
As both a player and a DM, that would be DM's discretion. Now, like I was telling you, backstage, I'll get to that in a second, Loki. Yes, there's a story behind that. Coming from I could talk, sorry. The perspective of both a DM and a player, and this is something I learned from my husband, was DM discretion is law. If the DM says yes, the DM says yes. If the DM says no, deal with it. Because like I said, in my world, there are disabilities, with the exception of the main NPC that I personally played, because she was actually my old character for my husband's campaign before he died. Mm-hmm. The rest are just NPCs. And that's how it's going to be. Unless I get a player asking me, hey, can I do this? As long as it's not something that's going to be overly complicated. Because, again, things look great on paper, but they're not always practical, especially around environments. Because, if you have an abandoned dungeon or a cave, in practicality, no wheelchairs can be able to make through that. I don't care what anybody says. Those are not going to be accessible. They're not accessible in real life. They're not going to be accessible in a game, at least in mine, full stop. That's how it is. Now, if a DM wants to make a world that, has that, that's one thing. But me, most likely will never happen.
Okay. I mean, that's again, that's a perfectly cromulent answer, and I think that's absolutely fine. I as a DM am very much of the, there are many methods. I mean, I would even meet someone halfway, especially if we were playing a game where they were jumping in at 5th, 6th, 7th level, and they might have already explored and gotten such a thing. Like, hey, instead of a wheelchair, you have a flying carpet.
Yeah, exactly.
And look at all the utility that you can hover at the same height everyone else can and go through the dungeons same as everyone else can. And it even gives you a bit of a bump. And I think that Gonzalo says he plays TTRPGs to get away from the real world. I think we all do.
Yeah, exactly.
We all do. Hello, Kabuki Kid.
Hi,
Kabuki is my next guest on the show, by the way. But anyway, go ahead. You were saying.
But yeah, I don't play D&D to have myself immersed with my own disability.
Mm-hmm.
I play it to get away from the stress of that, away from having to think about all the medical, what's going to happen if I have a medical emergency while I'm with everybody. I play D&D to escape, and not just because for me, it does help with the physical pain because it gives me something to focus on rather than the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Because at any given moment, I mean, like right now, if I was focused on it, my back would probably be easy at 8 to 9 on the pain scale.
Mm.
And that's just something I live with every day. Gaming for me, especially tabletop gaming, gives me that escape because my mind's somewhere else and I'm not focused. Therefore, I'm not in as much pain. If that makes sense.
Well, no, I think that makes perfect sense. And the thing, like, again, I myself, and when I had Thane Kyle D and Disability on, he and I talked about this. I don't think it is cognitive dissonance to say I wouldn't have them in my game, but I understand your perspective, Susie. And I would say to Thane Kyle, I understand your perspective. I don't think that's cognitively dissonant at all. Right. Any more than it would be to say, when I go to your house, we play contract bridge. When I go to Thane Kyle's house, we play gin rummy. And when you guys are over here, we play 5-card stud. Right. It's literally just like what the preference is. Chelsea Maxon says the real world sucks. We all need an escape. Amen to that,
nice,
Chelsea.
And yes.
There you go. Okay. Well, Chelsea, please throw us a like and subscribe if you like. If you're friends of Susie's and you'll subscribe to the channel and bump up my subscriptions, I'll have her on more often. I promise.
Guys, you know what to do.
But anyway, the one place where I as a DM would bend, and we stuck a pin in this a few minutes ago, because we've been talking about this, is the game Hero System. Hero System is an entirely point by D6 dice pool based. It started out as a superhero game. And it has grown to where it covers a multitude of genres. But when you make a character in Hero System, to get back build points, because everything costs points. If you're playing the Punisher, your ability to do specific types of hand-to-hand combat moves, you might say, wow, I really want Frank to have like a nerve strike so he can like get a guy in the neck and just cause him to heel over in pain, and then he can finish him off with a double tap. Or, I want Superman's eye beams to be a little bit stronger. You don't have to play an actual comic book character. You can come up with your own. But there are what are called disads in the game. And depending on their severity, they award you points back. And you can have disads that are attached to powers called power limitations, or you can just have a blanket disad. Like a disad could be you have a secret identity. You're Spider-Man. No one can ever know your identity, because if they found it out, your family would be in danger and you would be harassed forever. And that might, your commitment is totally strong, and so on and so forth. It might net you 15 points, which you can do a lot with in a Hero System game. So if someone came to me and said, hey, I want to go with like a Professor X kind of guy, he's wheelchair bound. Absolutely. Okay, here's how we're going to make that disad. It's going to get you this many points. And then you shine somewhere else. That's a system where if somebody came to me and said, my character wants a wheelchair, or my character's in a wheelchair, I would say, fine. But the funny part comes, this I think is the sticking part for a subset of the I don't want this in that. And I want your opinion, because I've been talking now nonstop, and I want to give you a chance. But I think part of the pushback also was that there was a tendency where the people who wanted the Magic Combat wheelchair wanted like a one-person tank. You know, they didn't want to just say they move through the dungeon the same as everybody else. It's just a special effect because I want my... No, they wanted like, well, swords shoot out the front and it's got magic wands built into the spokes and I can do like 5 things in a combat round with it and so on and etc.
Now you see why it annoys me.
Exactly. And now I think, and now hopefully some of you folks on the audience, you kind of grok why, you know, because it wasn't about equality or even equity. It was about being better than the rest of the party. Mm-hmm. I have my wheelchair, therefore I can do so much more than everybody. It flies, so that means we don't need the thief to get up the sheer wall. Mm-hmm. It adds extra AC, so I don't have to buy armor, you know, and so on and etc. But in Hero System, you cannot use a disadvantage's points to buy off a disadvantage, because a disadvantage that yields no points isn't worth anything. Right. So you couldn't take the disadvantage wheelchair bound, however you wanted to define that, and then say, but I'm going to spend those 25 points on a computer chip that lets me walk. It's just like, why don't you just not do that? and then I won't have to build the disadvantage with you. But
exactly.
But I again, an individual DM's table is sacrosanct, and I appreciate that you appreciate that. If you said, Bill, I'm running an AD&D game, I want you to play in it, and I said, that's fine, and somebody else at the table said, well, my elf is wheelchair bound, and you were okay with that, I would not immediately start jumping up and down saying, hey, how dare you? That's ridiculous. My character's a cleric. I'm going to cast heal on them so they don't have to do that anymore. I wouldn't spoil somebody else's fun. Right. But conversely, if somebody came and said, hey, can my character be wheelchair bound in your AD&D game? I'd say, no, that's not really a thing. And I would hope that they would, you know, go, right. Oh, okay. And then we, you know, we'd be okay with that. So, but to hopefully slightly more pleasant topics. Speaking of role-playing games, I was telling everybody earlier that you had chosen the nom de guerre, the Labyrinth lady, and now I mentioned the convention earlier, guys. We do have one. Sorry, I didn't mean to go Tucker Carlson in there. We asked the Biden administration why there wasn't an in real life convention. This is what we found out. So we have the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention. We've done it 3 years in a row. And this past year, Susie was kind enough to run the Labyrinth role-playing game. And it not Labyrinth Lord. Labyrinth, as in David Bowie and his codpiece, Jennifer Connelly and her 2 talents, Muppets, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, and I called you the Labyrinth lady. And so I was very, very honored when you took that as your Discord handle. So, how did you pick up Labyrinth? Where did that? Where? I saw Labyrinth. I have never seen Labyrinth before. I had seen bits and pieces of it. My wife has the DVD. She loves the movie. They put it back in movie theaters this past spring, and we went to see it, and I thought it was a fantastic movie. So getting to play it right on the heels of having seen it was a blast. But tell me about getting into Labyrinth Lord.
Well, actually, I didn't when I went to when I went up to the city for one of my appointments. On the way back, we made a stop at a game store. Okay. I saw The Dark Crystal and The Labyrinth. I thought they were just novels. Of course, I was tired, so I don't want to hear from anybody.
Right, right.
So I picked them up, and started looking. I'm like, these are tabletops. These are mine. I don't care. And I've been really wave. Sorry. Anyway, I've been hooked with Labyrinth ever since, And then, because it's a simple 2d6 max system, as
right.
And some of the others who have played know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really good beginner TTRPG because of that.
Loki, Zelda, let her get you into a game. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun.
Rosie's actually one of my monikers on Discord. That's why he calls me Rosie, because I don't really. Back then, I really wasn't comfortable with everybody knowing my real name.
Sure.
And so one of my monikers for another server was Rosie Cheer Up.
Okay.
So I just kind of shortened it to Rosie when and it kind of just stuck. So that's why he calls me Rosie.
Right on.
But yes, Loki, one of these days. And I'm going to kind of swing back because King had actually asked about maybe, in talks with maybe having some of our group as guests as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which for one of them, I'd be there too, because my best friend, who's actually deaf, plays with us.
Okay.
So I would have to do the interpreter part. Sorry, and if that is overstepping, please let me know. Because instead of bringing that to private, that was just kind of there and on my mind. Sorry, man.
All right. So let's see. I have to ask now. Guys, this is not a. I just want to make sure that, this is not an endorsement. This is not anything like that. Is this the? And I'll throw you the link so you can click on this if you want to, Susie. Is this the game that we were playing? It looks like it. It seems to be awfully a lot like it.
Let me double check.
It's from River Horse. It's got the movie poster. Okay.
That's the one.
So I got to share something with you, and I may have mentioned this during your game, but I wanted to let you I wanted to let you run your game and not bog it down with a bunch of trivia. So understand, I had never seen the film until in its fullest until the early spring showing. There is a scene in Labyrinth, which of course you've seen it probably many times, right? Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something before I go into this, because I think this is so much fun. Have you ever played, rules don't matter, have you ever played the D&D adventure, The Lost Caverns of Sojkoth?
I've seen it. I've heard about it. I have not had the privilege to play it yet.
Okay.
I need to, but it comes down to this.
So The Lost Caverns of Sojkoth goes all the way back to 1976. Gary wrote it, typed it up on his typewriter there, did some pen and ink illustrations for it, or somebody did some. And it was handed out at WinterCon 76. And then Gary made it into a full-blown, full-color module for AD&D a few years later. It's an amazing module. If you get a chance to play it, Susie, I highly recommend it. There is an encounter in the module that was in the labyrinth. Now, you might be thinking, well, okay, it's a stone maze full of monsters. There's a small group of people trying to find their way through it, and they fight monsters. There's magic potions and everything. Of course, you're going to see a D&D similarity. No. There is a scene in the film The Labyrinth that is in the module The Lost Caverns of Sojkoth. When they find the faces that are moaning, "You're going the wrong way," those were originally in the Lost Caverns of Sojkoth, and I cannot help but think that the film's author, and I've gone blank now. Was it Terry Jones? Oh, I can't remember now. But that he did not have a stack of D&D modules to draw inspiration, because this isn't a case of like, oh yeah, well I guess if you squint real hard. No, it's the encounter from the damn D&D module right in the middle of the labyrinth when they find the stone faces that are warning them that they're going the wrong way. So if you guys are if you've never seen the labyrinth, you're gonna hit a point in that movie, especially if you're a big fan of S4 Sojkoth, where you're gonna go, because it's straight up there. It's straight up there. It's an awesome little scene. So a labyrinth, it's a simple 2d6 system, and you did an absolutely fun, fine, fantastic time running that for us, and I had a lot of fun. So thank you.
I'm glad y'all enjoyed it.
Yes, and of course you are expected to run some at Guac 2025.
Laying on it.
Which is only about 280 days away.
Yep, I'm counting down.
Might seem like a while, but it's not. But anyhow, so Labyrinth, and you said there was a Dark Crystal game you picked up too?
Yeah, hang on just a second. Let me see if I can find it real quick and I'll grab it.
Sure. Oh, thank you, Jorge. Yes, it was Terry Jones. I thought it was Terry Jones. Yeah, one of those guys. One of those people. Okay, so Dark Crystal. So tell us a little bit about Dark Crystal, since that seems to be a fave of yours also.
Well, I haven't really gotten much into it. I've been kind of obsessed with Labyrinth. But,
okay.
Let me take the dust jacket off here. Welcome to the world of Thrall.
There you go.
This is actually your DM screen.
Oh, neat. That's handy.
Yeah. And it's a bit more complicated. It uses like 5 of the polyhedral dice sets.
Okay.
Versus just the D6. So it's a little more complicated to learn. But eventually I'll be able to sit down and actually read it.
Well, I hope if you find yourself immersed in it that you will perhaps run 2 sessions, maybe a Labyrinth and a Dark Crystal game. By the way, campaigns and conquest, where do you get that? First, ask your FLGS, please. Even if they have to order it, ask your FLGS. I put the Amazon link. Again, guys, it's not an affiliate link. I'm just giving that to you to look at. I probably should have. It's the same company, by the way, that did the Labyrinth game, River Horse.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it looks like a lot of fun too. So you'll like the Henson stuff. But jumping back a little bit, have you felt a draw to older school rules? Or are you just kind of looking forward? What are your thoughts on 6th edition D&D? Let me just ask you that. Are you moving forward? Or are you evolving? Are you going to stick with 3rd? Are you going to jump back to 1st, 2nd? What is your plan?
I would love to learn 1st and 2nd. I need to go back and refresh myself on 3.5. I also need to read 3rd. As for 6th, I don't know. I've kind of got mixed feelings about that just because of everything that happened.
Yeah.
Where everybody knows what's going on, so I'm not even going to touch that.
Yeah. There's no Oh, we could be here a minute or two talking about everything that's going on. So,
Yes, Loki 3.5. I still have the books, which I really probably should replace because my husband's books are kind of well loved. We'll put it that way, and falling apart. And there's nothing wrong with PDFs or anything like that. I'm all for it, especially if you need to like zoom in or whatnot to read it. I'm more of a give me the books. That's just me personally. That's just me.
Yeah. So, no, I get you. One thing I was going to mention, and I talked about this the other night, and I guess I kind of shot myself in the foot because I said, hey, if you don't like the fact that I say you can get the reprints from Drive-Thru RPG, I guess, but so somebody unsub from the channel, well, but no, you can get the third edition books. So if you do want to relearn third edition, but you want that physical book in your hand, I know I harp on about how Wizards has all the classic AD&D stuff, most all of it, available as PDF and or print on demand. But I believe third edition is also, at least the core are available.
Right. And another reason I prefer books over a computer screen, because if I stare at a computer screen for more than like, say, 3 hours, it will trigger a migraine.
Yeah, and there you go.
And that's
you
even
don't
in
want
dark
that
mode because of how sensitive I am because of the hydrocephalus, because I have hydrocephalus as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason I prefer the old school pen paper, in your hand, tangible, you could feel it. It's because for me, that's my accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I can prevent myself from going into a major migraine and having issues arise because of that.
Yeah. Mrs. the Dungeon Delver deals with migraines a lot too. So believe me, I understand the desire to avoid that at all costs.
Loki's been with me through some of my worst ones. He can tell you how bad they get.
Oof. I can imagine. So print books are, clearly they're your friend. I will warn you, again, to go to Reverend St. Kyle, the AD&D books, they are not easy on old eyes. Have those readers handy, yes, I'm the same way, man. I want a physical book in my hand at all times when I really want to consult the rules. If I'm running the game, if I'm running a game sitting here or sitting over at the edit PC or whatever, it's very handy to be able to just, bring up a PDF and type in, Ring of Shooting Stars and then go right to it and read all of its effects and be able to roll with it if it's not something I've dedicated my mind to. But man, when it comes down to I'm going to sit down and immerse myself in the rules for entertainment, yeah, I'm with you. Give me a physical book.
Yeah.
Give me a physical book every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
And I need to kind of circle back around here because I missed a couple of questions.
Sure.
Jimmy, how I got into the dice crafting was my friend who's actually my business partner, which is why we're S&S, Dice and Knacks, because her name starts with an S as well.
Mm-hmm.
After I had lost my mom, because I'd lost my husband and my mom within 5 weeks of one another. My depression was getting bad, and she didn't want me dropping down to that point of isolation. And she knows how much I love the game, and she was like, hey, I'm doing this. Do you want to help me? And I'm like, yeah, sure, because she and I also would play together. And down the rabbit hole I went.
Okay.
Down the metaphorical rabbit hole I went because 9 times out of 10, if it's decent out, I'm in the shop. And I
Right
believe
on.
it was Nordic who had asked me about watching TV. Yeah, I have to put on like my computer screen or turn
Hmm.
on a computer, turn off my screen and just listen sometimes, especially when the weather gets bad. When the weather gets bad, I could be laid out for a good 48 hours. Not
Wow.
24, not 428, 48, depending on how bad it is.
No, I can believe it. I can absolutely believe it. The missus has called in, like, she's gotten up, having a merry day, cup of tea, getting ready to go out the door, and then it just like, nope, not
Yeah, yeah.
today.
I'm the
Yeah.
exact same way.
So yeah, I completely I completely understand where you're coming from, and I feel like there's ample room to be able to take five under such circumstances. I've gotten much hot chicken soup and cups of tea for the dear wife when she needs that. So that ain't
Oh,
messing
yeah.
around. Migraines ain't messing around. It's not a little headache.
Oh, no, no, no.
It's not. Oh, I've got a headache. I'll take some time. No,
Mm.
it's it's on a whole nother level.
Yeah, doctor, I
Um,
get the same ones. Those
uh,
are the worst.
yeah, yeah. So now I want to ask you about something because you kind of touched on this, and we talked about it a little before. We will discuss this to as great or as lesser an extent as you want to. Um, you found RPGs to be comfort when dealing with the passing of loved ones.
Oh, yeah.
Um, did you did you actively seek those moments out? Was it friends reaching out to you saying, "No, you're coming along and you're going to do this"? What was the point of ascension for you?
We had one session right after my husband passed of, okay, now what? And we all decided it would not be a good thing to stop. King and Loki, you two can verify. If I'm not, especially King, because he was there for that meeting in person.
Mm-hmm.
Loki, I don't think made it. But yeah, even Loki agreed that in his memory, we should not stop. Now, did we stop playing actual D&D and move to other settings using the D&D rules for now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right now, King's got a game going, Pangea, which is kind of like a caveman type thing with dinosaurs and whatnot. Loving it, by the way.
Excellent.
Except for the last 2 sessions, I lost both of my raptors.
Oh no.
Dice rolls. What can you do?
What are you gonna do?
Exactly. And then, it was about maybe 8 months ago, I tried to revive my husband's world, but I couldn't do it. My heart wasn't there. And then it was about a month ago, I was looking at it and I'm like, I can't let this world die. I just can't. I needed a setting for the Wheeling Dragon Inn. And it's just like, I'm going to put that as a focal point in the game, make it 2 years after his campaign, because he passed in the middle of a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And, go from there. We've only had one session because I will run mine if King hasn't been able to either plan something or if he's just had a really hard day and just wants a break. And we play every other week anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, it works. I don't have that pressure of I can play every single, I have to run something every single time we meet. But if I feel like running this and if everybody's okay with this, I can run mine and, be good for a few sessions and whatnot. And yes, Loki, you do. I need him and I need him quick. There's a story behind that one.
So in coping, in managing this, did you, I don't mean to again, if you just said, well, I don't want to talk about that, please just let me know. Did you find it as an as an outlet for grief or as an escape from. And I don't mean to escape in these cases. Sometimes will have negative connotations. That's not what I'm meaning.
I would say more of helping me cope with it rather than escape from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and this is why I prefer TTRPGs over video games, because I have my support group there. I have the in-person interaction. If I'm having a rough day before a session even starts, you know, we can vent it out. You know, and King and Loki have both had my back for years. Even before my husband passed, they've always had my back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they make sure that I'm not overdoing it. And they make sure that I'm in the mindset to play rather than, you know, maybe you know, and I think it was Loki who actually told me when I was trying to revive my husband's world the first time that maybe it wasn't time yet. You know, maybe I was just rushing into it because I missed him so bad. And yep, Loki's got it right. We are very keen on mental health, and we keep a hawk's eye view on that one.
Right. You know, this is another one of those TTRPG Twitter must be bored conversations where people feel like, well, nothing's going on, so I guess I'll say this to stir things up, or somebody will mention something. And I think there is a fine but well-defined line in classic TTRPG play fandom, for lack of a better term, where it's not even classic, you know. I'm going to step back off of a classic, but that that, you know, a given D&D group shouldn't be put on the spot to be anyone's therapy, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm working through something and I'm going to do it at your gaming table. You know, I am in no way outfit to help anyone with any psychological issues they're having. I'm not. You know, I'm as cracked as the next guy you're going to meet. But with that said, I also think there's an overreaction to this sense of what you are doing, what your group is doing. And I even, a week after my father passed back in 2010, I went over to a friend's house and we played D&D. You know, we played D&D for 90 minutes or something like that. And I wanted to be there. I didn't want to take phone calls from relatives. I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to plan. I didn't want to think. I wanted to game. I was ready to game.
Exactly.
But I didn't put it on them. Like, I need you guys to be my grief counselors tonight. Can you do that? Can you help me work through things? I feel like there's a disconnect between I'm gonna play D&D because it pushes that dopamine release button over here, and that's gonna help me feel better about what's going on in real life because I have some stuff going on, so therefore I'm gonna use D&D as therapy.
Right.
Whether the other players at the table or anyone else in the hobby wants it or not.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like your interaction with your group, if I may be so bold, I don't want to speak for you and I don't want to speak for them. But if I may be so bold, it sounds to me like you guys are taking the absolutely healthiest approach to that. And my heart goes out to you, and I am so glad that you've been able to find the solace in the gaming that you have.
Yeah. No, I know. I believe, King, I think it was yours, back right at the beginning of losing my husband, when you had actually started, or was it in the beginning of Plan G? I'd asked in a private, could you set up a small practice spar or something for my character, or a minor fight or something, just because I was feeling that tension and I needed that dopamine of, okay, here's a fantasy fight, just to kind of get it out. So my head would release the tension so I wouldn't develop that migraine. If that makes sense.
No, that makes absolutely perfect sense. I will say you've got one up on me, because man, if I felt a headache like that coming on, I'd be like, we're not playing tonight, guys. It'd be I'm gonna take some Tylenol and close my eyes and listen to my ears ring rather than try.
I'm a bit too stubborn for my own good.
Right. No, I get that. So let's, you know what, I feel like I gotta ask you this. We gotta talk about the Greeblies and that sort of thing. Favorite class to play?
Oh, I like both the Bard and the Cleric equal measure.
Okay.
My main character for my husband's campaign was because she did the cross class thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because my husband allowed it, was a Bard Cleric.
Okay.
But again, that's also a DM discretion thing. You can take us up, that, like we were saying back with the other topic, all things are DM discretion.
Right.
And it's actually that particular character who has a prosthetic left arm, because she lost hers in a fight with the main villain for my husband's campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had a spell to reattach it. So
okay.
I just play it as she's got this prosthetic.
Okay.
It's magic infused. She can use it like if it was really there. But she doesn't try to use it as I'm going to one-up you. Like some people with the other subject tend to try to do.
Right. By the way, I just want to give a quick answer here. Kabuki had a question. The volume of the Caspian Sea is 87,200 cubic kilometers, or 18,800 cubic miles. So, Kabuki asks me that frequently. I think she forgets. Now, you said you wanted to get into first edition, so you haven't actually played any classic D&D yet, correct?
Not yet.
Okay, all right. Then I shan't ask you what your favorite class there to play is. But
with my schedule, it's been hard to even miss or to even catch your streams so I could learn. Because Tuesdays is my ASL class.
Okay.
And usually by the time I get back, I'm worn out and I fall asleep before before popping it on. Or if I do pop on, I stay for 10 minutes before my body's can't do this.
Yeah, it's funny. I would love to so many times I'll get people Elvin Maiden. I don't know if you've interacted with her. Lovely young woman. But Emmy will be like, I am going to come and watch your stream. And I'm like, that's awesome. And, she can watch for 10 minutes. She's like, it's 4 a.m. here. Good. Yeah. God love her. Cause I start at 9 o'clock sometimes and she's in the UK. Right. So, I would love to, I would love to just drag everyone into this time zone, but, alas, it's not to be. But I was going to I was actually going to ask you something Dungeons and Dragons relevant. So you haven't made it to a con yet,
Not yet.
Not yet, but you're going to.
I'm hoping it comes down to finances because of, the whole.
Susie's group, get together, do a Groupon on the tickets, make it happen. Take this young lady to GaryCon, or better yet, to EggCon next summer, because Lake Geneva is beautiful in the summer. Not so much in the freezing cold winter.
Loki?
There you go. There you go, Loki. Make it happen. You do it. Other than D&D, okay, you know what? Let's just eject fantasy. What is your favorite genre?
Oh, sci-fi.
Okay, fair enough. Do you have a favorite sci-fi RPG? Don't say sci-fi D20 because that's technically still D&D.
Not yet, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Okay, we were talking about Dragon Riders of Pern earlier in the stream, right?
Yes.
I have 2 of the board games.
Excellent. So you have somewhere around here, I've got a rather incomplete and beaten up one. It's in the purple box. Mayfair Games.
I've got 2 of those. I'm staring at them right now. One's incomplete because that one was given to me by another aunt, and her dog ate some of the pieces.
Oh.
And then I've got one that has all of the pieces. I am
excellent.
Literally staring straight head on. If I just turn this way, I have top shelf half empty. Next shelf is my Dragon Riders Pern. Next shelf is D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Right in front of my line of vision. And this actually makes me happy. And you can even verify this with Loki. Up until this year, my Dragon Riders Pern books have never been on a shelf. They've always been in a box. Because I've been paranoid about having them up. No,
I completely understand. So let me ask you this: do you do vintage computer games at all?
I would, if I knew I could devote the time and my eyes weren't going to go all funky on me. I can barely do a console video game in like 30 minutes, and I'm Loki. That's still a box.
No, I get it. The reason I ask is because you being as much of a fan of video games, and I'm gonna lay this on the tribe here, and I am gonna share this up real quick. I don't know if you knew about this one, but there was a game for the Commodore 64, a Dragon Riders of Pern game.
I need that. I've seen it played on YouTube. I need a 64. I need a Commodore 64, and I need that game.
Well, I mean, the good news is you can get something like C64 Forever or the Commodore 64 Mini, which is really just a Raspberry Pi motherboard in a neatly printed 3D shell that looks like a Commodore 64. And you don't have to run out and try and gather up ancient pieces of computer tech and hope that they still work after almost 50 years. But so this is it. This is Dragon Riders of Pern. It was released for Atari 8-bit computers and Commodore 64. You start out as a ruler of a were, and in order to protect people against periodic invasions of the deadly thread that falls from a nearby planet. It's a strategic game. There's not a lot of action, but it does throw you in. It does throw you in to a little bit of action when the thread starts to fall on your terrain. And it's kind of like if you've played Defender, or this might be like a little bit more like Joust, but the thread falls from the sky and you use your joystick to move your dragon around and breathe fire and burn the thread before it there we go. There's a shot of the gameplay, and there's your dragon, and you zip around and you try and zap the thread because you've got orchards and fields and people's homes and that sort of thing, because the thread is pretty nasty. It is basically, if you picture for those of you who haven't read Dragon Riders of Pern, thread would be like almost like russet mold. If you think of russet mold from S3, from Dungeon Module S3, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, except it is fast acting. Like if it lands on people, it will immediately start to make them into more thread. And it's described in the books as being horrifically painful. Like if even if they're able to stop it, wherever it got on you is permanently scarred. So you are flying around in the action portion of the game, but mostly it's turn-based strategy because the other weirs, which are what they call the kingdoms, the fiefdoms, you've got to deal with them for food, and some of them might not want to contribute children to bond with dragons and become dragon riders. And no, it's not some creepy child soldier metaphor that Anne McCaffrey put in there. They start as youngsters and they don't take their first flight till they're in their late teens or early 20s. But anyway, that's kind of how it do. That's kind of how it do. So I hope you're able to find a copy of that. You know what? In fact, let's see. I always like to do this to see what a given game might command. Let's see. If we check this out, well, the diskette version is $50, but that's like complete. That's like everything if you bought it at the at the store. But that's not actually a bad price when you get right down to it. You know, that's not a bad price, because that's about what a modern computer game would set you back.
Yeah.
And if you want to get this set up, Susie, you can ping me later, and I'll help you get it. This Epic software is no more. Okay. This is abandonware. So we can help you. We have the technology.
I appreciate it, Loki. Hush.
But anyway, what else? What haven't we talked about? So you like the Dragon Riders of Pern. You like science fiction RPGs, but you don't have a favorite one yet. So when you're not making dice, when you're not hanging out with me on YouTube or posting up on Twitter, what do you do? Well, you were talking about ASL.
Yeah. American Sign Language is actually my second language.
Excellent.
And I was not able to get the question you'd asked me on Monday answered because we did not have class Tuesday. We had a bunch of storms, and she was not comfortable with people coming out to have class.
Of course. No, so you're in Central Time, and it's the mean season. I get it.
Yeah, and that's no joke, because I think this is the first time in like 3 days my head hasn't gone this number.
Oof. Yeah. Well, I wish I could say, hey, move down to sunny Florida, but we have hurricanes and thunderstorms, and it's just as bad down here. Trust me. So I know I asked you a question. I just can't remember it. What was my question on Monday?
Oh, what was that? You were asking about further down the line about the sign because you thought it was this.
Oh no, I was kidding. I that is a standing joke here. You know, like I'll say like like referring to my miniatures, like over on my shelf of shame. And this is the International Sign Language for shelf of shame. It's literally just a bad joke on my part. So I don't know what further down the line actually.
I realize it took you seriously, right?
No, I didn't, but now I do. So I have had that problem a lot. You know, to the point that like I have to preface beginning of conversations with my adult daughter. My teenager, fortunately, I don't think I damaged her too badly, but my adult daughter, if I see something interesting on the news out here or read something, on my phone when I'm back in the bedroom, when I talk to her, I'll say, this is not a joke. This is not a dad joke. And then start explaining. I have to put that disclaimer at the beginning, because if I just go in there and say, hey, some woodchucks chucked some logs into a lake, should be like, yeah, Dad, how much wood could a woodchuck? No, really, I mean it. So I did it to you too, and I apologize.
Is I am going to circle back around for like 2 seconds to D&D because I have a
Okay.
question for my local group.
All right. Local group.
How many of y'all remember this?
You know what? Let
If I
me
was
see.
unfold this, it would literally be the length of my wall.
Let me see if I can embiggen you. No, that's not it. That's the other way. I'll do that. That might be a little bit better. It's a little out of focus, but I think your group there. It's coming in. It's coming in a little bit better. Local group is going to know what it is. Loki's Alta says mine.
You were there when he started it, not yours.
Yeah, Gonzalo. I'm sorry, Gonzalo. Oh no, they say he's got to go. Go, Gonzalo. Gonzalez said it looks like a blueprint. So what is that we were seeing there?
This is my husband's world.
Uh-huh.
World map, I should say.
Wow.
Front and back.
So is that a hex map?
Nope.
Or
this is
just freehand.
Freehand.
Wow.
This is brown bag paper type material.
Mm-hmm.
That I can't remember where he got it, but he had a big old scroll of this stuff. And I was lucky enough to actually find this because I was going to show this off tonight.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. Loki says it took up my old room wall. That is fabulous. You love to see artifacts like that.
That's actually the room I'm in.
That is like the one reason that I will ever recommend anyone go on eBay to buy a game, just something like that, because there are so many chances that a box you're going to open may have a note, game notes. Have you ever played Dungeon? TSR's Dungeon?
I wish.
It's a lot of fun. It is the one thing that I will recommend from Wizards of the Coast that you just go buy a copy of right now.
Okay.
Because Dungeon it's still in print and they didn't change the rules. There's a damn fine set of Dungeon from Wizards of the Coast, and let's see again, guys. Not an affiliate link. Don't at me. But I got to say that for YouTube. I got to say that. So Amazon.
Alan, yes, it is. It's a world map. This is the Plane of Edorath World of Pelennor map.
So right here, guys, if you want, now I am sharing this so folks can see it.
Right.
I am not sharing this because I want people to buy it from Amazon. I am sharing this because I want people to see it and go, wow, that's cool. And then I want you to go buy a copy from your FLGS. Please buy a copy from your FLGS. And get it while there's actually a dark-skinned drow on the cover, because they did away with those. But anyway, get yourself a copy of Dungeon. But if you're going to buy it off of eBay, first of all, make sure it's a complete one. But second of all, I hope you have some luck and find something cool in it. I got house rules in mind.
Nice.
I got somebody's typewritten and type corrected. Do you remember the corrective tape?
Yeah.
To typewriters, you'd stick it down and you'd go back and you'd hit the letter.
Yeah.
Corrective tape of someone's house rules. They were mostly a retyping of the original rules. I think so they could have multiple copies of the rules at the table. But I absolutely loved getting that. And so if you get a copy of Dungeon and you buy it off eBay, I hope there's something cool in it. I think you and I have the same version of Dungeon, Kabuki. It's got the purple, the kind of purple blue box with the is it Jim Rosloff or Bill Willingham? I can't remember. Cover. It's like the size of a Monopoly box. But anyhow, I am thrilled that you found your world map though. There, that's awesome. that you're going to keep on keeping on with that, Susie. That is absolutely great. So, is there anything else? Is there anything just off the top of the dome? Anything you wanted to discuss that we haven't covered? Because gosh, we've been going almost 2 hours now.
Yeah. Not unless viewers have questions.
Yeah. Any questions? Well, Alan Canning stepping right up. Says, did you guys play in Tolkien's World ever? Did you ever do any Middle Earth gaming? Okay.
No. Have we thought about it? Yeah, but it just never panned out for us schedule wise.
Right on. And that's an investment, playing in Middle Earth. That's not a let's just do a pickup and we'll start in Hobbiton. No, you gotta be in it for the long haul. Daniel Rowan asks, did you ever read through an old adventure or something you'd written years prior and think, hey, this is pretty good?
Yep.
All right, there you go. Kabuki says best pizza topping.
Kabuki! That's not fair.
Oh, you're really on the spot. Mushrooms, there you go. Not a bad choice. Gonzalo asks, I think this thing is too big, Gonzalo, but I'll let her answer. Could you get it framed?
I'm probably going to do a shadow box and just put it in there folded as is, just because of how big it is. Right
on. Good call. Kabuki has a serious question. How much of Appendix N have you read? I'm not. Are you familiar with Appendix N?
I'm not.
Okay. Back of the Dungeon Master's Guide, there is a list of inspirational fantasy. Basically, it's Gary's recommendation of, hey, you might want to read these books. And of course, there's Tolkien's works are mentioned. Howard, Vance, Lieber, Le Guin, Norton, Lovecraft, Bellairs, just a whole bunch of those. So when you get your Dungeon Master's Guide, your 1E Dungeon Master's Guide, give it a look. I think you'll find some good things in there. And let's see. Nordic says, what is one TTRPG game you would like to play that you have not been able to besides Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, that's a hard one. Because so far, other than AD&D, I think I've played everything I've wanted to play so far. Now, do I wish, say, like Dragon Raiders of Pern would come out with something like this? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome.
Sure. Let's see. Not sure about the context here, Jorge, but I'll throw this up anyhow. Hardest monster so far. I guess it's something you faced. What was the toughest monster you've had to throw down with?
That was actually a homebrew. So, everybody's going to have their opinion on homebrew. That would have been the homebrew. It was a wolfkin who was an undead.
Undead wolfkin. There you go.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we have some of the rules we have.
Right on. Jimmy Invictus says, besides dice and maps, what other crafting projects do you enjoy?
I want to learn how to crochet. I do make jars. So if people don't want a dice dagger, they can have a dice jar or a jar for something else. I've got this project right now where I'm taking gold and like a blue and silver and pink, and I'm making dream jars for kids.
Okay.
Put their dreams and everything. They put it in there, kind of like a piggy bank, so to speak, but something kind of fun to help with like those who have trouble sleeping.
Okay.
I need to work on the pink and silver one. I just haven't had the time yet because tomorrow's going to be busy because I have a craft show on Saturday. So I've got a bunch of keychains I've got to get done, a bunch of necklaces I got to get put together, and a few other things poured and whatnot.
Excellent. Alan Canning asks, do you DM? She does. I'll tell you that right now. What is some DMing advice you might have?
Relax. Don't judge yourself too harshly. Because we can be our own worst critics, especially when we're trying to have, make an enjoyable time for somebody else. we were like, oh, that could have gone so much better, but
And, I think that applies to so many things we do for enjoyment.
exactly, you know, just make sure, you're having fun, listen to your players if there's a conflict rising. Because I ran into that too, where tensions were high between DM and player, not with the group I'm with now, but a past group.
Mm-hmm.
And it caused a miserable time for everybody.
Mm.
So listening to your players and not being hard on yourself would be the two biggest things I would say.
Excellent. Wave and Mutilation, thank you very much for the, let's see, exchange rates, then YouTube takes their money. Thank you very much for the 95-cent chat. I'm teasing. Did you craft dice from James's bones? I think referring to Jimmy Invictus. I don't think, or can you? Can you is what he was asking. That's, I'm not going to promote or suggest that here on the show. Let's see. And I'm looking to see if there's anything else. Oh, now you'd been talking about video games, and you can't do them for a long time. But Kabuki asks, did you have a favorite or a favorite of all time?
I like the Dragon Age series. Wasn't too big of a fan of 2 because the origin story was kind of one-sided rather than choosing multiple. But I really do like the Dragon Age series.
Well, there you go.
I think they actually have a TTRPG, but I'd have to look.
I may have that sitting around. I got one of them newfangled PCs that doesn't have an optical drive, so I may have to buy that. I did play a friend and I just solo played a couple of sessions of the TTRPG. It wasn't bad. It was actually really good, and it reminded me of like a basic D&D in many ways. And I liked how the guy who was releasing it was doing box sets like level 1 to 5, level 6 through 10, level 11. He was like doing it in waves, which I thought was really cool. So it's pretty good. I can recommend that if somebody wants to actually not just use AD&D and carve that into Dragon Age Origins. So anyone else? Anyone got any further questions?
I don't see questions, but King, that scares me. I know you too well. No.
Homebrew monsters from Plangia. Well, that sounds that sounds pretty scary. So
is chaos personified times 10.
Chaos personified. I like the name. I do. It's a good album title. Anyway. So I think. Oh, favorite color for dice. Nordic Maelstrom was getting one in there.
Dice?
Favorite color for dice.
Oh, that's a hard one. I like green.
Green. Your green ones
around,
were.
So I'm just gonna say green.
Yeah, the green ones were lovely. Oh, and Kabuki says best movie from 1950s or earlier.
Really? I'm not picking because that's an era I can't pick.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go. Anyway, so if nobody else has any further questions, I think we are going to wrap up right there because we are just starting to bump up at the 2-hour mark in about 10 minutes. But thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us tonight. We tipped over 120 viewers on the live stream tonight. That was absolutely awesome. It's great to see. Guys, if you're over on Twitter and you haven't come over and subscribed on the YouTube channel, it's right over there. I'm at the Dungeon Delver here on YouTube. Please come over and subscribe. I would love that. I would really like to hit 7,000 subs before the end of 2024. I know it's a big ask, but I'd kind of like to do that. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below, post ex facto, and tell me what you liked about it. And again, if you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down, post ex facto, and leave a comment and tell me what you didn't like about it. And I'll do more of or less of the thing you didn't like. Susie, thank you so much for coming by tonight. It was a sagacious blast having you here on the show. And you'll be back soon. So, don't get comfortable. We'll be bringing you back on the show soon, especially when you have some more dice sets, because I want to see your take on the Holmes D&D dice. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I love repros of those sets. Thank you to my audience. Big shout out and thank you to Wave of Mutilation. Can Susie play Call of Cthulhu for in October? We'll see. That game is pretty full, but Susie, don't think I don't want you there.
Right.
But I thank you, Wave, for not only that super, but your earlier super. And I think you're right. I think with exchange rates, I owe you money for those super chats. But guys, I appreciate it. Susie, please help yourself to the snacks in the green room. We've got a coffee mug, a t-shirt, and some lovely pistachios and fine chocolates for you. So I am going to let her take a break. And as for me, I'm going to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow night, everyone, with some first edition Gamma World, not Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, but Gamma World. And I want to see all of you there, because we're going to explore, extirpate, irradiate, and mutate. All that's coming tomorrow night. Guys, I really appreciate it. But wherever you go and whatever you do, please, I beg of you, watch out for the dread owl bears. Peace. Good night.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere, in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around, some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle, way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me